This stunning new 801 D5 speaker from Bowers Wilkins cost as much as this equally stunning car from B&W. Why? We visit the Bowers Wilkins factory to understand how a speaker can command such a high price.
Here we go.
We start with the cabinet. It is certainly not just a few planks nailed together. Rather, it involves a highly time-consuming process.
If you take just a single piece, as you can see, it's very pliable. It bends. But of course, what we're doing is using the natural alignment of the wood and the wood grain to create our own stiffer construction. So if you come to some of our smaller models, like the 805 that you can see here, or the 804, they have 12 layers of wood. Now, forming all of this is done under very high pressure and very high heat. And these large forming press tools over here take care of that job for us. What it's going to do in this particular model, because it's the largest one, the 801, is it's going to supply 80 tons of vertical pressure and 60 tons of horizontal pressure onto that sheet wood and bend it into the form. Once completed, you're going to go from this to this.
To ensure absolute precision, every single speaker is measured before moving to the next stage of production.
This is lifted up and it's put onto this. Then we slide it into this tool and it will very gently open the loudspeaker up, only a small amount. If we go over here, I can show you how that works. This cabinet has been opened up and they've inserted the internal bracing system. What they then do is reverse the tool. So rather than opening, it's pushing. It's going to sit like this under pressure for 2 hours.
Robots are used to sand down the cabinets. This ensures the edges where the drivers will be mounted are perfectly sharp, while the rest of the cabinets is sanded to perfection, a highly extensive process. Once the sanding is complete, the driver cutouts are masked off before the speaker is coated with clear lacquer. This step is also performed by a robot.
Come down to this end, and through the glass you can see it doing its work.
The robotic process takes just 45 minutes. After that, the cabinet requires manual finishing to achieve a flawless result. It might seem like I visited the factory just recently, but it was actually 3 years ago. Yet the older D4 model looks almost identical to the new D5, something for which Bowers Wilkins has faced criticism.
We aren't a design company. If you want a design object, you go to Bang & Olufsen, and all power to them. They're a fantastic brand, but we're Bowers Wilkins. We're not making pieces of furniture, we're making high-performance loudspeakers. So if you look at 47 years of history from this one through to this one, there's 3 shapes. 3. That's it. 3 shapes. This one, and this one. So it's not about whether it looks different, it's better, it sounds better. And the answer we would always say is, well, listen, and you'll see.
It maybe seems like it's the old 800 series, but inside there have been some changes.
So in this new design, we have a thicker, stiffer, higher performance aluminium top plate. complete with revised decoupling for the mid-range assembly, which allows it to float more freely in the top of the assembly and create a bigger, more open soundstage. We have a new damping collar running around the turbine head, which is inspired by what we used in the signature loudspeaker, and again has damping material behind it. The combination of these two reduces the unwanted output from the top of the cabinet, and as a result creates a clearer, again, more open soundstage. At the back of the loudspeaker, you'll see the spine section here is all new. It's again a thicker, stiffer piece of material, aluminium, with curved sections towards the end. What we also have are two internal bracing rails. We call it space frame bracing. They run up the back of the loudspeaker, either side of the spine here, and then they're cross-braced transversely across like this. You'll also see these plates. These plates conceal much larger fixings, so we're now using bigger M8 fixings rather than M4 fixings. So as a result of all of those things, the unwanted output from the back of the cabinet caused by the radiating of the drive units is considerably reduced. The box essentially disappears even more from the soundstage. As a result, you hear just more of the sound of the drive units in free air, essentially, rather than inside a box.
You are one of the really big producers of speakers in the world. How important is it for you that you produce most of the things in-house?
It's vital. It's everything that we do. We don't have any of our drive units on any of our main models of loudspeakers made for us. So the 600, the 700, we design, develop and manufacture the drive units ourselves because A, we have specific beliefs in how drive units should behave. B, we have some proprietary technologies, our own technologies, and if we had someone else make it for us, well, it wouldn't be ours anymore.
There are some parts of the factory we can't go.
That's correct, and this is the one area. So just over in the distance.
I'm not curious at all.
So we have a special technology for our mid-range cone, which we call the continuum cone. We have managed to keep what goes on inside it a secret now for 7 years, and we're trying to keep it that way. So it's done over there. That's the area where the work is done. But I'm not going to take you down there to film it because I can't reveal the processes inside. I'm sorry. So, once we've come past our secret area, the next thing we go into is assembly for the mid-range and for the low frequency. This is our drive unit assembly line. So this is taking everything from the magnet, the motor system, through to the chassis. You can see it right there. That's just going to spin right now while the glue applicator goes on.
Once the driver is assembled, it becomes their special Continuum FST mid-range unit.
This particular one is an 801. You can tell it's an 801 as opposed to others because the chassis is a different color. The chassis is black. The reason for that is pretty straightforward. The size of the cone is the same on an 802 and an 801. In fact, the cone itself is the same. However, the motor system on an 801 is very different. It's double silver, higher performance. So to avoid them getting mixed up, 801s are black, 802s are silver.
One of the main reasons the speaker is so expensive is the diamond dome tweeter.
The diamond diaphragm is made from artificially grown diamond. It's incredibly stiff. It's just 40 micron, so very, very thin, very light. Each individual diaphragm, if you're making the diamond dome, is put into the complete assembly and then it's tested. The complete assembly is just over here. Sorry, no, I'm just going to go to your right, mate. So this is the solid body tweeter assembly. This is a single piece of aluminium. This whole thing will go into this chamber, complete with the dome, and be measured and tested for the correct performance before it's then packed in the box and sent downstairs to go onto one of our final product assembly lines.
Finally, the base, mid-range and tweeter units are assembled into the finished speaker. Bowers Wilkins employs a unique philosophy regarding how this should be done.
The high frequency and the low frequency are both highly stiff. They're quite pistonic. They're quite related to each other in some ways. It's just obviously diamond, being a phenomenally stiff material, is also very expensive. and quite fragile, so you can't easily make something this size. Hence the fact that we use carbon fiber here and diamond here. The important point is that they only operate over a relatively narrow range. So if you're thinking about crossover behavior in a product like this, the high frequency is operating from 3.5K and up. And the low frequency is offering from 350 hertz and below. And that whole range from 350 to 3.5, which is a very big range, is covered by the flexible cone, which is why you have a different approach in the mid area. So the great thing about the flexible cone is it A, has that ability to cover that range. B, it's very good on and off axis. It doesn't beam in the same way, so we get a really good dispersion characteristic from it. And of course we can also decouple it from the rest of the assembly. So decoupled mid-range, decoupled head, decoupled tweeter body, rigidly coupled low frequency.
Another factor contributing to the high cost of these reference speakers is the crossover, which is built by using very expensive parts. Since they manufacture their own drives, they can easily design the crossover.
What we want is the audio signal arriving here from the terminals and then getting out to the drive units with the minimum possible loss of information. Now this is a reference crossover design for an 801. And as you can see here, it's a pretty substantial piece with some incredibly high value Mundorf capacitors, particularly these ones. One other thing that you see around here is this very special thing just under this cover.
This is the famous Nautilus speaker that inspired the modern design of the 800 series. It is celebrating the 30th anniversary this year and remains the flagship model.
So this is the final assembly area for Nautilus. There we go, look at that. Raw, before any work done. Do you mind if we pop our heads around at least?
Yeah. Come in.
The Nautilus is handcrafted in this small section of the factory.
We made that Tuesday, stuck it on Wednesday night, and then it comes off today.
It takes many days just to manufacture the front of the speaker. Designer Lawrence Dickey decided to incorporate these long horns.
We've got a full set here, large, medium, and a small.
You sure?
A small surprise at the end.
This is very special.
We get a closer look at the Nautilus speaker being lacquered.
This is the Nautilus. This is one of our by hand paint spray chambers. So the people who work in here are very highly skilled. And they work on the smaller component parts that require painting by hand, and of course the Nautilus. This particular one is halfway through its paint cycle, which is why we have to be very, very careful not to touch it, because it's still wet.
Once finished, it's placed here.
This is before and after.
Pretty much.
Moving from the most expensive speaker to the most affordable one in the 800 series. Here the 805 is assembled, also by hand.
As you can see right here, there's some 805s being made ready to move down the line. So getting ready to fit the crossover.
They use an Anechoic chamber to test the finished speakers.
What's happening inside this chamber?
So basically you're measuring the response to the loudspeaker, trying to make sure that it matches up to what it should match up to. So this chamber has a set of reference data based on the acoustic sign-off version of the product. And then each build is compared to that. So there's a frequency sweep. You can hear it there in the background, running from low frequency through high. And it's a pass. Happy days. Everything that's inside one of these from an acoustic point of view has been checked once already before it's got here. These guys don't want to be messing around with that kind of stuff. They're putting them together. So the drive units are tested individually, the boards are tested, the crossover boards are tested individually. So you should get a high degree of success when it comes to pass or fail, because we already know what's going on.
There's no doubt that making the Bowers & Wilkins 800 series is an extensive and costly process. The question is whether the 801 D5 is worth 50,000 euros. I had a brief listen at the high-end Vienna show in June. So how does the new 800 series sound like? It's very deep bass. That's typical from the 800 series. They really get defined bass and deep bass. And it's also powerful in the 100 Hertz area, so it's got punch. And I think the holographic of the sound is very good. It's not the smack of the horn speakers and things like that, but the sound of the voices was very clear and airy and open. They played the song with real power from Son, and it showed that the speakers can handle that. And they also played Agnes Obel with a big airy voice, and it was very good. So it will be exciting to see how they perform in real life, in a real home. As a first listen, I was amazed over the speakers. Remember to push like and subscribe to my channel.